Well, let's begin this hour in Lagos State, Nigeria, where rescue operations continue today on the site of a three-story building that collapsed yesterday evening in the Ebute Meta area of the state. Arise News correspondent Oba Adeoye has been following developments around the incident.
Lagos residents, like many others in other parts of Nigeria, are usually indoors on Sunday evenings to relax in preparation for a fresh work week, which typically starts on Monday morning. The evening of Sunday, the 1st of May, was not different, as many residents of house number 24 along Ibadan Road in Ebute Meta had retired home in anticipation of the public holiday, which begins on Monday, to celebrate the Muslim festival, Eid al-Fitr, which signals the end of the 30-day fasting period. But 8 of the occupants would never live to witness the annual festival, as a three-story building in which they cohabited suddenly gave in at around 9:30 p.m. on Sunday. According to official records, these 8 people died under the rubble, while more than 20 others were pulled out from under the debris with various degrees of injuries.
I feel bad, most especially a boy that they call David. He always be with me, he walk with me, but may his soul rest in peace. Then later, we have been hearing a lot of, deaths counting, about 6 right now, that I saw with the poly bag, carried them to mortuary.
We gave them money for them to leave the place, but they refused. About 3 days ago, two or 3 weeks ago, some of them came, government agency came with police, like task force, that we should leave this place so that this house will not collapse on you. But they refused. They said, where could they get house in Lagos State?
We invited LAPCA ourselves. We have pictures. We have evidences of LAPCA coming to carry out a test of for the house. We have pictures. So after the testing of the house, the results revealed that the house is no longer safe for living. So we told the occupants to leave. We held a series of meetings with them. Some of them actually heeded, to the advice. We had given every occupant money to leave this house. Some of them had left. I don't want to disclose the amount. Some of them had left, but some were adamant, saying that it is not easy to get accommodation in Lagos State. So for that reason, they kept on. In fact, there's a man who promised to vacate the house today, but this happened now. It is unfortunate that this had to come. It has to come to this before some of these people who actually leave.
The permanent secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Femi Okeosanyintolu, says the residents have been issued notice of evacuation from the building long before the collapse on Sunday evening. While some moved out of the distressed structure, others refused to leave. According to Osanyintolu, the collapsed building at Ibadan Road is not the only one that is distressed in the area. He said some other buildings have been served evacuation notice, but some of the residents have also refused to move.
Our people are not abiding with the rules and regulations, and that is why we have this man-made disaster. And despite that fact, despite the fact that they did not abide with the rules, we moved in swiftly, promptly, effectively and efficiently, and we are able to save 22 people. We rescued 22 people, we recovered 8 bodies. Out of the 2 people that were rescued, they were taken to the last route for investigation.
Well, so far we have rescued about 24 people alive. Out of these 24, 7 of them are children and 17 are adults.
A visit to one of the buildings nearby, which is about 200 meters from the collapse site, shows some obviously worried residents who claim that the eviction notice was just given to them after the Sunday incident. Government representatives and some neighbors, however, said the notice had been served on them for more than 7 months. The Joint Rescue Team of LASEMA, National Emergency Management Agency, Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Lagos State Ambulance Services and the police is still making efforts to clear the rubble with hopes of more rescue. Oba Adeoye, Arise News, Lagos.
Well, let's now cross over to Lagos, the site of that particular collapsed building, and speak to our correspondent Oba Adeoye, who's actually standing by to give us an update. Oba, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program. I know you have been on the site all day, so we appreciate you for that. But let's talk about the fact that this is seen as one collapse too many, because if we cast our minds back to November of last year, where there was that 21-story building that collapsed, that killed about 45 people, and of course more people are still missing. But since you've been on the site of this incident, what are the authorities really telling us as to what led to this particular collapse in Lagos?
Yes, investigation is still ongoing on the immediate and remote causes of the collapse that happened on Sunday evening. As we speak right now, there is no official statement as to particularly what led to the collapse of the building in Ibadan Street, along Ibadan Street in Ebute Meta. But what I can tell you is that, just like you can see behind me, rescue operation seems to have been altered, because some few minutes before now, it was raining here in this part of Lagos, and maybe that led to the suspension of the rescue effort. But right now you can see the place is deserted. No rescue activities ongoing there. Nothing is here, and it's a residential area. I think it's a mixed area. You have some residential properties here, and you have some properties that are being used for commercial purposes. But nothing is happening right now in this part of the state as we speak, and we await official statement from the government as to what's really led to the cause of the collapse. Because just like you listened to in that report that I played shortly before you came to me, the Lagos State Building Control Agency had come to inspect the building, and they had told them that the building is not healthy for human habitation, and as a result the owners of the building had admonished the occupant to vacate that building. So the building is just like some other buildings here in Ebute Meta that even if you look at them from a layman perspective, you see that they are not in proper shape. So government agencies are still working on that, are trying to find out what really led to that collapse, and of course seeing that they'll be able to avert a repeat of similar incidents in buildings around there that are not looking healthy.
Well, thank you, Oba. And do we know what exactly the death toll, what it stands at now? There have been different figures being bandied about. How many people have lost their lives in this collapse?
Yes, you're right. There have been conflicting figures given by the emergency agencies. One agency was telling us 22, another agency was telling us 24. We rely on whatever figure they give us, because most of the time they go on site to pick up, to bring the corpses away from the site. They just put them in body bags, and we may not be able to ascertain the exact number of casualty. But one thing is certain: all of them agree that 8 people have, 8 bodies have been rescued dead. The 8 people removed from the robbery dead this afternoon. But for people who have been rescued alive, there are conflicting figures as regards that. Some are saying 22, others are saying 24.
Right. Well, Oba, you have given us that update in terms of the death toll, but I do know that even the landlord and his son of that particular building said a quick notice had been given to the residents of this particular building in the Ibadan Way in Ebute Meta. What do we know in terms of, buildings such as this one around that same area, which were giving markings according to the authorities, even though from your reports we saw that some of those markings were dated today, the 2nd of May 2022?
Yes, we saw the markings, the red marks on some buildings, but despite those marks, people are still beating. They are still living in those buildings, and that's what Dr. Osoyintolu was saying in that report, that despite repeated notice and repeated warnings given to these people, some of them have refused to vacate the property. Like the property I showed in that report earlier, some of the residents, they claim that they are not aware of the evacuation notice, but some of their neighbors as well as government agents say that the notice had been issued to them more than 7 months ago, and you could see in that report that some of them, were trying to pack some of their belongings hurriedly, and there are a number of other buildings around too that have those red markings, and you see have people living in them. So we expect that the relevant government agencies will double up on applying all strategies that they know to ensure that nobody live in any building that has been marked or pronounced distressed.
Well said. Thank you so much, Oba Adeoye, our correspondent on ground. Again, you've been doing a great job being at that site since yesterday. Thank you, Oba.